The John Frederick Show, Common Sense for the Commonwealth on WHKT AM 1650 in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Governor, we're honored to have you with us.
Thank you, John.
Governor, President Obama has asked Congress for an extension of the Bush tax cuts, but only for those who earn under $250,000 annually. What is your position?
Well, what the president's proposing is therefore a massive tax increase on job creators and on small business. Small businesses are overwhelmingly being taxed not at a corporate rate, but at the individual tax rate. So successful small businesses will see their taxes go up dramatically, and that will kill jobs. That will be another kick in the gut to the middle class in America. We just saw a terrible jobs report just last week, and now to add a higher tax on job creators and on small business is about the worst thing I could imagine to do if you want to create jobs.
Do you believe that the president really understands the economy from the private sector position?
You know, I'm afraid the president, having never had a job in the private economy, just doesn't understand that the kind of difficulty it is to start a business, to grow a business, to decide to hire people, to bring them on board, and to train them, to take the risk associated with expanding an enterprise. And so he has taken action over his term that in almost every case has made it harder for small businesses and large businesses to grow and to add jobs. And I stand back and shake my head because I know what it takes to get jobs to grow in this country. I've got a 5-step plan that'll get America's economy going again, but the president's been in office for 3.5 years and has not yet got a plan to get the economy going.
Governor, President Obama says your health care plan in Massachusetts was the model for his Affordable Health Care Act. How is it fundamentally different? And as president, you promised to repeal it. What would you replace Obamacare with? So this is a two-part question.
Well, the most obvious downside of Obamacare is that it's not affordable. The idea of $1 trillion of new federal spending when we're already racking up trillion-dollar deficits every year is an unacceptable idea. We simply can't go there. We can't keep spending more and more money, borrowing more and more money from China and other places. We are putting America in peril, and Obamacare must be stopped. Now, at the same time, there are a number of things that need to be done to improve our health care system. With regards to insurance, for instance, we need to make sure that people with pre-existing conditions are able to get insured. We need to assure that the marketplace provides people the options they want. I'm told right now, for instance, there are a number of companies that allow people up to 26 years of age to remain in their family plan. And we got to focus on the key aspect of health care for reform, and that is getting the cost of health care down. The president's plan will cause health care expenditures in this country to go up. Either that or it's going to lead to rationing. And the courses the president has laid out are simply the wrong direction for health care in America.
So, Governor, that makes sense, but how is that fundamentally different from your health care plan in Massachusetts?
Well, one fundamental difference is our plan was crafted for a state. We did not have a federal government take over the power of citizens and states and impose federal will on all the people of the country. Our bill was about 70 pages. His bill is 2,300 pages. In all those extra pages, there are all sorts of regulations and requirements and demands, and now we understand a tax provision as well. His plan raises taxes by over $500 billion. His plan cuts Medicare by $500 billion. We did neither of those, of course.
At the end of the day, is President Obama's Affordable Health Care Act in search of a single-payer system?
I think that the design of those that favored the President's Health Care Act, Obamacare, if you will, is to ultimately move America to a single-payer system. The President said before he was elected that it was his objective to have a single-payer system. I think that's where he'd like to go. My own view is that if Obamacare were allowed to stand, if the President were reelected, in other words, that you would see down the road private insurance getting squeezed out, and ultimately a call for a government insurance plan or government insurance program of some kind, and ultimately it would take the lion's share of the health market. That's where I think we would head. I can't be prescient on exactly when and how that would develop, but I think Obamacare is a flawed model, and I think that's one reason why so many Americans oppose it.
Governor, if we could shift for a moment to foreign policy, Europe as a whole represents the world's largest economy, and it's in crisis. As president, how would your approach to the European economic situation contrast to President Obama's as it impacts the United States economy?
Well, the right course for Europe is to settle its own affairs itself, rather than look to someone else to write a check to bail them out. I would oppose the United States of America providing financial support to Europe. The economies of France and Germany and others are able to right the economic ship in Europe without causing America to have to write checks. I can also tell you that our role, I think, can include our counsel and our perspective, and the path they're on, which is larger and larger government, larger and larger deficits, crushing levels of debt, is a path that will lead all of Europe into the kind of trouble you're seeing in Italy and Spain and Greece. And I think that they're going to have to recognize, just as we recognize here in this country, that you have to rein in the excesses of government and encourage private sector growth. You've got to encourage small businesses to start up and grow, to create jobs. More jobs mean more tax revenues. That balances budgets. The answer for Europe is the same answer as we have for America: growth. Get this economy growing again. Get people working again with higher wages.
Governor, final question. A wave of radical Islamic fundamentalism has engulfed the Middle East. Does this impact our national interest, and do we need to react to it?
Well, it's of great concern that the president has watched the Arab Spring develop and is not developed in the path and the course that we would have hoped for. We as a nation have a great deal of interest in seeing the Middle Eastern nations that are taking control away from, in many cases, very despotic dictators. We want to see them become more representative forms of government. We also want to see them become more modern. And we don't want to have them turn to the radical violent jihadism, which has led to death and destruction around the world. And America needs to exert our soft power, meaning our diplomatic power, our economic power, and show that we have a strong and able military, second to none, such that nations will have more of an inclination to follow the lead of democracy and freedom that America has always represented.
Thank you, Governor Romney. We appreciate the time you
extended
us today, and good luck.